Hi, Dr. Bearcat. So, first, thank you for letting us do a video on the questions. I have a professor, Dr. Dennett, I'm sure you know. She has always encouraged this. Last semester, or last year was, I had her for the first time, and she always encouraged it, and I really, was very hesitant and never wanted to, but this semester I've been doing it, especially in her class, so thank you for letting us do this. So we talked, or I read about servant leadership and adaptive leadership. Servant leadership had kind of already figured it was, about a leader that was more of a servant too, towards those followers. But adaptive leadership I kind of thought was maybe going to be more about the leader adapting, but really it was about the leader teaching others to adapt. And what I liked about both of these is they were very focused on the follower or the person that works under them, or however you want to refer to that person. So I kind of like that about both of them. It's not really focused on the leader. I mean, it does talk, but it's what the leader does for the follower, I guess you could say. So, I guess I will talk about what I read and what I learned and how it's going to help me. So in what ways have these ideas and experiences added to my knowledge and skill as a leader? So first, in servant leadership, I think what mostly helped me was in I'm looking at it now, the 10 characteristics of a servant leader was the persuasion. So I need to work on this personally. I thought this was more of being manipulative and stuff, but according to Northouse, it says it's a clear and persistent communication that convinces others to change. So it's not using positional authority to force, which is what I thought it was. And I know that there's different ways, but I just always hesitate to do the persuasion, because I look at it as both ways, as being oh, well, you're just manipulating the person, which is not true, but that's how I work on it. So for an example of me would be, I coach cheerleading, and so I guess you can consider me a leader there. And what I would do is I would tell them, I would say, okay, someone needs to fix this, instead of kind of calling them out in the middle of what they're doing, being oh, you need to fix this. And it's not necessarily manipulating them, it's just no, this is how it is done. I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope so. So, there's that, and I kind of want to go through servant leadership and answer all these questions, and then go through adaptive leadership, if that's good. So that was kind of my one case, and how it relates to me and what I've learned through this and need to work on. So what new leadership strategies would you apply to address specific issues in your organization? So for this, what I would do is I would work on the emotional healing aspect in our organization. So my organization is really great, honestly. We communicate really well and encourage each other, and I can see definitely one servant leader who she just goes above and beyond. She has pretty much all of the behaviors and qualities, or whatever you want to call it, of a servant leader. But I think as a whole, our organization needs to work on emotional healing. So it's not that we don't recognize that each other's emotions are there, but it's just not encouraged past that. So I guess an example in my workplace is actually my very first day ever last fall. Unfortunately, my uncle had passed away on the day before I started work, but I found out the day of, so it felt like that day. And I let them know that he passed away, but it was just kind of oh, I'm sorry, and that was it. We didn't address anything past that. And I understand it might have been difficult, because I was I was brand new. I didn't know them, they didn't know me, so it was a different situation. But I still felt like it could maybe be worked on more. I don't know. We do, like I say, we do encourage each other and stuff, but the emotional stuff, which it's hard to work on that really in any instance, even a personal one-on-one relationship. So, that's hard. So why are these issues problematic, and how would you go about applying the theories? So it's problematic because honestly, I was a big, like, advocate for, like, oh, shove your feelings aside, like, it'll all work itself out. You know, we don't need to get personal in, like, the workplace and everything. And I do think there is a fine line of, like, work and home life balance and stuff. But, like, if you're not going to help your team, and that involves, unfortunately, emotions come with that, whether we can control it or not. If you're not going to do that, it just takes down a level of understanding those that you're working with, if that makes sense. And if, like, you can't connect those, well then, See, we work with students, and we do highly encourage the emotional healing aspect with them. Like, we will refer them to CAPS on campus with advising, or not even advising, like counseling, mental health, and we encourage our students to go to, like, a thing called Student Athlete Survival. That's like they can go and talk about any issues as a student athlete, and it's never put out there anything. But as, like, an organization within, like, the leaders and just people that work there, it's not really as much. So sorry, I kind of harped on that, but anyways, okay, I guess we could also say, so servant leadership was, it says in North House, but it's really, it's really Greenleaf from 1970 who explains, like, really what it is. So he says, servant leadership begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve first, then conscious choice brings one to aspire to lead. The difference manifests itself in the care taken by the servant, first to make sure that other people's highest priority needs are being served. So I feel like also I wanted to say I can relate to this because I just have this natural tendency to want to make sure everyone's okay, like everyone's taken care of. Does anybody need any help with anything? And so even though, let's say I lead cheerleading, sure, as a coach, but outside of that, I always tell my girls, like, you can come to me if there's something about school, about life, like, don't feel like cheerleading's our only thing and that's what I'm just your leader here. Like, it needs to mean more than that. And I want to support my girls and everything, so there's that. Okay, so on to adaptive leadership. Sorry that took so long. So adaptive leadership, I thought this, like I said, I might have said this in the beginning, I thought it was going to be different. I thought it was going to be, like, the leader adapting to, like, the situations, but it was more the leader helping followers adapt. So like it says in North House, it says it focuses primarily on how leaders help others do the work they need to do in order to adapt to the challenges they face, which I think is super important because there's always challenges, we're always adapting, and as someone who just does not like changes or adaptations, I really do appreciate people that help me with this, as long as, like, and I also like to help people with that too, just because I've learned from my own experiences. So, okay. In what ways has these ideas and experiences added to your knowledge and skills as a leader? Okay, so for me personally, regulating distress, that's what I need to work on, and it's added to my knowledge. I didn't even know I needed to work on this. So regulate distress, it says in North House, let me show it to you. The challenge for leaders is to help others recognize the need for change but not become overwhelmed by the need for the change itself. The adaptive leader needs to monitor the stress people are experiencing and keep it within a productive range or regulate it. So I think for me, like a prime example, this week we had homecoming, and of course all the girls were like kind of like they're like worked up about it because it's a big week and everything, and like, I'm of course worked up about it because like I have to make sure they perform well and they're huge like halftime performance and everything, but I can't show them, but I have to regulate that we're getting worked up about it and stuff. And so I think that's like one of the things I need to work on specifically. And I think sometimes it just takes me stepping back for a moment to realize that. So that's what it's helped me with. What new leadership strategies would you apply to address specific issues in your organization? So in my organization, besides cheerleading, there's two things let me address this real quick. 2 things. I'm a head cheerleading coach, but I also work in the Academic Athletics Center at FAU. So, for my organization, the one thing that I think we could do better on is maintaining disciplined attention. So, according to Northhouse, its adaptive leadership process is to maintain disciplined attention. This means that the leader needs to encourage people to focus on the tough work they need to do. So it doesn't come easily or natural, is what it said. I think one of the things, an example of this is we avoid like talking about going back to work after like everything that's going on. Like now we're virtual and stuff, and like I think it honestly might be like that for a while, but we've really just not talked about after that fact. And I think we just haven't paid attention to that. I don't know. It's just, they don't focus on, like it says, on the tough work. And that's going to be tough going back to, like, in-person stuff. It's just different. And, you know, we had all this work getting onto virtual, but now we have to have all this work getting back in person. And it's hard for these students because it's such a big change. And it's a big change for us. So, like, sometimes we need to talk about that. So it's not great. Sometimes the reason why are these issues problematic and how could you go about applying the theories? So the reasons it's an issue is because we have other people involved other than just like us workers. We have like our students that are involved, and that creates like a whole nother aspect. Like the students get worked up, and we can also get worked up about these harder things. And so if we don't have it straight up forward, like up front, whatever you want to say, then the students are gonna be like, what is going on? And so I always, thought as a kid, like, oh, well, the adult world, they always know what's going on. I guess that's not always the case from what I'm learning. But I think applying these theories is going to be like, we're going to have to really push each other and show each other like, hey, we've got to address these things. We can't just sweep them under the rug, even if it's not changing the next like 4, 5, 6, 7 months. Who knows? But maybe if it's a process along the way talked about, instead of just talked about like, oh crap, it's happening right now, like, the whole process is a good thing to have. So I think that's that. I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, I meant to go back to the emotional healing part when it says, why are they problematic? We talked about how it's problematic. We don't talk about our feelings. But how can you apply the theories? So I think we can apply them is like maybe at our weekly meetings or even in our follow-up meetings every semester, we can apply the theory of being more like, see if we're healing in our emotions. I don't know. It sounds kind of funny because I just don't think it's really used widely in like organizations or really in the workplace. I think it's in general a tough thing to have, just a one-on-one thing. But I think hopefully we can use that in our theories. And but honestly, my organization does a great job of servant leadership and adaptive leadership. I've always been feeling supported as like someone that's kind of like below and kind of low on the totem pole, and someone's always asking if I need help or assistance, or if they can get someone to help me or assist me. And as far as adaptive leadership goes in my organization, I think they're always encouraging us to be adapting and to be used to change. And like I said, I think earlier, I'm not someone that likes change, unfortunately. I've learned that about myself actually a few years ago, which has helped me immensely. And like honestly, so is reading through these books and through like my master's program, adult and community education. It's helped me to learn how to adapt and change and like kind of be okay with that stuff. But yeah, I hope this was great and everything. Like I said, thanks so much for letting me video, and if I need to write up anything or If this video was too long, I'm sorry. But just let me know, and thanks so much. Bye.